Now I know she's not the most beautiful girl in the world, is she? But she's got a cracking smile, and she's made an effort with them earrings. Not so much the face that launched 1,000 ships, more the face that launched 1,000 wheelbarrows. My kind of girl. Catch you later. Hi folks, late afternoon on Friday the 13th, and I've decided to collect my spent hops, and this is where I get them from. It's an unassuming industrial unit, but it's quite high-tech inside with lots of big boilers and what have you. And he leaves his spent hops on a pallet outside the door, just at the other side of that red car there. And in return, although he doesn't ask for anything in return, I brought him some Autumn King carrots and some blackcurrant jelly this year's, and it just so happens that the fruit cage in which the currants grow is mulched with the spent hops that I get from the brewery, so suppresses the weeds and feeds the plants. So he's going to get some blackcurrant jelly. Okay, catch you later. Well, 30 minutes later and we're back on the plot. It's very, very blowy though. It's lovely and mild, actually quite warm, the wind, but it's very breezy. And these are the 6 sacks of hops that I just collected. The brewer's very happy about his currant jelly and his carrots. And Monton's crushed pale malt Maris Otter. That's the variety, and they're passionate about their malt. Apparently, Montons. Well, we're passionate about spent hops, and they've probably been outside for a few weeks. That looks like a fresh one. That's pretty fresh. You can see that's an older one. Lots of flies in it. Sort of probably a week, 10 days old. Same with that one, and probably same with that. So they're probably, the oldest bag's probably about 3 weeks old. They smell wonderful when they're fresh, but they smell putrid when they're old. I've probably got too many for this bed, but we'll see how we go. This bed has just had the carrots in. It's the first for larger raised beds on the and next year it's going to have the ambrosia sweet corn again. If you remember, they were in the far bed this year, so we're rotating. We've got 4 beds, we've got a 40-year rotation going on. So carrots were here, they'll go to the second bed, and the sweet corn will jump over to this bed. And the bed that had the sweet corn last year was the last bed to be made up, as it were, and the hops hadn't really broken down, but that didn't seem to affect or hinder the growth of the sweet corn. If anything, the sweet corn did really, really well. We had about 3 or 4 cobs on each plant, and as I pulled each plant up, when they were finished, there was a clump of spent hops round the roots. So did the sweet corn absolutely no harm, so it's going to go in here again. And by the time the carrots get back round to this bed in maybe 3 years, 4 years time, there'll be no sign of the hops. Right, so I'll get those spread, but first I'm going to have myself a little picnic. I've got a yoghurt bar and a cup of coffee, so we'll first things first, we'll have a drink and then we'll get these hops spread. Right, so that's the spent hops collected and spread on the bed. It's not something I look forward to be honest, because they're quite heavy. Luckily today I've been able to drive my trusty van down the narrow lane. It just squeaks through and has to pass the water pipe, the standpipe outside the gate to my allotment. So I have to be very careful as I drive through. But I've not had a big trek with the sacks, so it's a lot better. And you can see from the hops that the different colours, the darker bits are the hops that have been outside probably for the last 3 or 4 weeks, and the lighter stuff is more recent. There was a bag left over, didn't really need it, and it was the driest, the freshest of the 6 bags. I thought better of it really, because if I'd put that on, I think it would have been so dry it'd have blown all over the shop with the wind that we've got. So what I'm going to do now, on top of the spent hops, is put some green matter, and I'm putting some cabbage leaf. I've got 4 or 5 cabbage that have blown at the other side of the wheelbarrow there, and rather than just put them in the compost heap, I'm going to put them onto the bed. And why not? It'll be eaten and processed by the worms. So I'll put a layer of cabbage leaf on top, and then I'm going to get some well rotten horse manure, and then that's going to go on top of the green matter, and I might throw in some rock dust as well for good measure, and then the whole thing will be covered up with black plastic, and it'll stay like this then for probably the next 7 months, because it's going to have sweet corn, as I say, and that doesn't normally go in until, well, the later the better really, into June. Start of June, mid-June, something like that. So I'll go and get the cabbage chopped up in the wheelbarrow, and then I'll come back and I'll put that on. These are the cabbage that I mentioned, and you can see they've blown. The heads burst open and a new cabbage has grown out of the top. I think I've got 3 or 4. So I'm going to chop those up, and they'll go in the wheelbarrow and then over to the raised bed. Could have gone to the compost heap, but let's not waste it, let's put some goodness into the bed. Well, that's the end of the blown cabbage, and made short work of them with the old rusty machete knife. So over to the bed now, and we'll get this put on. Well, that's the green matter laid on top of the spent hops, the blown cabbages that were chopped up. We'll go and get some year-old manure now. This is the manure bay where we're getting the manure from. It might not look like much, and it looks like it's empty, but in point of fact it's not. It's about a foot deep, 12 inch, 15 inch, and we put 35 barrows of manure in here about this time last year, October, November time. There's quite a bit of wood shavings in it, so I think there might be a bit of an orangey brown layer at the bottom. But we put 35 barrowfuls in, and it was about 3 foot high, and it just shows you what happens after a year. It's rotted right down. We've taken some out of the bottom here, and I think we've taken about 89 barrowfuls out, and it's quite nice stuff. The bay's quite big actually, it's about 6 feet by 9 feet, and it's just at the foot of the allotment with the dahlias and the flowers. So I'm going to get some of this up now. We'll probably need about 4 or 5 barrows, I would think, and it might be quite dense, so it will need a chop in the barrow before it goes on. So I'll get on with that. That's the first barrowful, and as you can see, it's quite dark and rich in colour. I have chopped it a little bit, but I've barely touched the bottom of the bay, the corner. There's a lot more here than appears at first sight, so I'll take this over now to the bed, and we'll get this spread over it. That's the first barrow one, and it's looking better already. I reckon about another 3 or 4 and we should be done. That's the bed done now. It took 4 wheelbarrowfuls of manure, and I'm glad it was only 4 because I'm tired out now. It's harder work than you think, because I've had to barrow it about 70 metres up from the 3rd plot onto the top plot. And all that remains now is to put some of the volcanic rock dust. This is the Remin brand, and it contains macro and micronutrients, the macro being your phosphorus, potassium, sulfur, calcium and so on, and the micro things like iron, copper, manganese, cobalt, trace elements I guess. And the reason I'm putting them on here is that there's no real soil as such in this bed. It's all ingredients that I've layered up. It's a lasagna bed really, for want of a better description. So I'm adding them for good measure, so that I know that there are those trace elements in there as well. It's not that expensive either. I think I got 2 bags, and I'm not certain how much this is. It might be a 10 kilogram bag or something like that. I think it costed £20 odd for 2 bags, and I used 1 bag when I made up all 4 beds, so it's gone a long way. And I'm going to put 4 or 5 handfuls on, and I'll do it with the other beds as well, as and when I top them off and just before I cover them up. So I'll do that now. Well, what an absolutely wonderful Sunday afternoon it's been today, 15th of October. 21 degrees, a light breeze, but not really anything to write home about. It's been absolutely wonderful, really, really nice. It's been a pleasure to be outside. This last weekend I've done quite a bit of weeding and tidying up on the first and second plots. The first plot being the no-dig plot, and the second the plot that we started with. We've taken out the blown cabbage, and as you saw, that went into the raised no-dig bed, and I've weeded all the patio area, so that's all nice and tidy now. Feels really lovely. Greenhouse is still looking good, the middle greenhouse, lots of salad growing, and over on the bed with the winter onions you can see that they're doing well, as are the overwintering shallots. They're starting to come through in earnest now. I've hoed all the ground as well, weeded the carrots, weeded all around the entrance, and took out the original bean frame that we had that had blown over in the really bad gales that we had earlier this month, and I've turned the soil as well. I've weeded the leeks, although there's a dock leaf there, that's growing inside the hole where the leek is, I think, so that'll have to be teased out. Picking the last few beans, but everything's looking really good. Took a beautiful parsnip this morning for lunch, and in the border here the dailies are still going strong. They look really nice and vibrant. As you saw, we've taken all the squash now. I've just got some of the green rollet on the pub table there on the grass. So all the no-dig plot's been tidied up, all the border cleared, grass cut. Got some nice swede just there growing in that middle of the 3 beds in front of us. Had one of those at lunch as well. Topped up 2 beds, cut and edged the grass. Still plenty to do, but it's starting to look quite good really for this time of year. But that might all change if we get some wet and windy weather. But for the time being, it's been really nice down here. Sun's just setting now, and we've had some apples as well. Gala eating apples. I think they're a dual purpose, but they've been beautiful this week. We've had them in lunch boxes. Got some Granny Smith there that are almost ready. So it's all looking nice and tidy, which is it's a relief really. It's taken me the best part of 2 months to get it to this stage. But I'm going to call it a day now and head off home. So that's it for this update. Thank you very much for watching and for subscribing and for all your great comments. It's not just nice to hear what people think, it's nice to learn off other people as well, because other people have ideas. And I put in the write-up to one of the uploads recently, it might have been when I counted the squash, that I need your recipes for squash. I've been looking online and got some quite good ones, but I'm sure there are lots out there that are not mentioned. So if you've got anything to do with squash recipes or how to preserve it, then let me know. Okay, have a great week. Cheers, bye.